Welcome to the podcast, Badass Mother Hustler, where the grit, stress, and the beauty of motherhood and entrepreneurship meet. We'll share the realities and stories of what it takes to make it all work and still be a badass mother. Now here's your host, Maddie Yaka.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today we're chatting with badass mother hustler, Brittney Skrabak. She's a mom of a 2-year-old daughter and owner of Creekside Coffee Roasting. And every entrepreneur mother has a story, and we can't wait to hear yours. Thanks for coming on today.
So much for having me.
Yeah, so tell me, are you happy about this rain that we're finally getting?
I am. Yes. As you would imagine, I really like cozying up to a nice cup of coffee and, looking outside and being cozy.
Yeah, I dropped the kids off this morning at school and daycare, and I came in and I told my husband, all right, we're going to have a fire tonight because it's cold enough.
Finally.
So tell everyone, what was your childhood like? Were your parents entrepreneurs? Did it run in your family?
Not at all. My dad is a teacher. He's been a teacher my entire life. Same school district, really dedicated. My mom is a therapist, so she's been doing that my whole life too. So really, people who like to give themselves to the community, but not entrepreneurship at all.
So where's your story start? Were you doing something else before you started Creekside Coffee Roasting?
Absolutely. I might be a little bit different than some of your other guests where the brainchild, Creekside Coffee was the brainchild of my husband, Andrew. He just went all in. He quit his normal 9-to-5 job and just decided to start it. And I am by trade an occupational therapist. So I've been doing that for about 10 years. I am still doing that and doing Creekside, at night and on the weekends. But that's what I've been doing, and I'm still doing it. So I might be a little bit different than most of your entrepreneur moms who, went all in. I'm still kind of like have one leg in each door here.
I mean, for some people, they were the ones that quit and went all in. But for you, it was your husband, but you're still part of it, and it's still scary, and you're still trying to juggle a lot.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
So how long ago did the business start?
About 1.5 years ago. So we're still pretty new. Yeah, I don't know. My husband, he is a food scientist. He worked for a coffee company up in New England. We lived there for a few years before coming back home. And, we had my daughter up in New England. We decided to move home closer to family, and we just wanted something different. And he just kind of came to me one day and was like, listen, I got my master's in business. I'm a food scientist. Let's kind of marry those together. I really like coffee. You really like coffee. So maybe we can try to take a stab at this.
That is super, super cool. So when you guys started the business, did you end up helping from the beginning, or was it just recently that you've been helping?
I've kind of always been helping, whether it's just kind of in the background or honestly, in the beginning, I would say it was more like physical labor, which is so funny, but it was like, it started from him renting an RV and driving down to New Mexico to pick up this coffee roaster that he found on like an online coffee roasting, resale store, and driving it home. And we were like, now what do we do? So we got like our strong family members. We lifted this thing into our basement and hooked up everything that we needed to do. And it just kind of started from there. So it just, I'm like watching him learn all the ins and outs of actually roasting the beans. Started out physical. Now it's kind of more logistical. I'm doing a lot of the social media. I am also a barista. I am serving drinks on the weekends at fairs and fall festivals and stuff like that. So a little bit of everything.
Does your house always smell like coffee?
It has since moved, but in the beginning, yes. And honestly, it kind of does. It's beautiful. I love it so much. My favorite is when my car smells really like coffee. You can it's not smelling like spoiled milk or like goldfish, like it normally does.
What was it like for you to start a coffee roasting business? Did you take an online class? Was it a lot of trial and error? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, it was a lot of trial and error. Andrew he is someone that will just go full force into something and he's going to figure it out. Whether it's like YouTube that's helping him, he has a lot of, and I'm a part of it too, a lot of like Facebook community groups that will just give you an idea of how to do things. He already had a lot of background in it though, because again, he worked for a coffee company up in New England. So he wasn't necessarily like on the grounds roasting the coffee, but he did a lot of the procurement, figuring out like where to get ingredients, what ingredients would do well together, things like that. So he already had those things figured out.
So you had your daughter in New England and then you moved home. So were you home for maybe 6 months or something? And then he decided to have this idea?
That's about it. That was great math. Yes, we moved when she was about 4 months old. And then it was maybe about 6 months later, he was just like, listen, this isn't working. We want something different. I was on board with him too. We just wanted a little bit more time freedom. We wanted to build something for ourselves. Make a little bit more money possibly eventually.
So you still have like a baby business. I feel like my business is finally out of the baby stages. I'm in year 4. Do you feel like you have the time freedom you wanted at this stage of your business?
No, definitely not. It is grinding constantly. No pun intended. And you're trying to really balance. I'm still working about 30 hours at my normal job every week. I get like one day off with my daughter, which is great. On the weekends, we're going to coffee events where we bring our van. Luckily, those are only usually a few hours. But yeah, at this stage, I think it's very astute of you to ask, is it the time freedom that you have? The answer is no, but I know that it's going to be worth it and it's going to be hours. And the goal is to be there one day and to just keep evolving, whatever that may be.
Yeah, and there might be some new entrepreneur listeners. And yeah, I mean, I put in the grind for the first 2.5 years. And like I said, I feel like now I'm finally able to take my foot off the gas and referrals are starting to come in and stuff like that. But I found you on social media. So that's like your social media is where do you guys find most of your business? Like people coming to you?
Yeah, I think word of mouth too, and just being present in the community, taking the van to especially very local places, different parks and whatever event is happening. A lot of like fall time and Christmas events we're booking. And yeah, people order a drink and they're just like, where are you? And it's just a lot of meeting people and talking in person. That's a lot of it. Social media too.
And how long have you had the van for?
That's been not even a year at this point. Yeah, under a year. And I think that's been the biggest, growth for us at this point. Roasting coffee wholesale and the van has been, really huge things for us, which is super exciting. Once we decided to just go all in and, get a van and get it like outfitted with every, really costly stuff that you could think of. It's been a good turnaround and it's been, really motivating to see it work and grow our business even more.
Your van has a full wrap and it looks like a creek.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's
so
Patagonia, outdoor living, it's inspired by our time up in New England. We lived in New Hampshire and we've hiked a lot of the mountains up there. And we just kind of wanted to, have something that represented what we love to do and what we loved to do, before we had a kid and started a business. It's very colorful. There's a big creek, we like to be outside.
is that how you both came up with the name?
Yeah, pretty much. We also live in Landenberg. There is a creek that comes right through Landenberg, White Clay Creek. We live kind of right up the hill from the creek, and so it just kind of all made sense.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. Where was I going? Oh yeah, your car is the van is fully wrapped, and my car, it's my personal car, but I figured I get it fully wrapped too, and it's pink and it has my business name on it. So like, do you have people texting you like, "Oh my god, I saw you drive down Route 1," or "Oh, I saw you parked at Landhope," or anything like that?
Yeah,
Cuz I get that.
exactly. I'm sure you do, especially because it's pink. Yes, we do. I will get a text, like even like a coworker at my normal job. They'll just be like, "Hey, what were you doing this weekend? I saw you in Downingtown," or something like that. You cannot hide, which is fine.
I mean, it's great conversation starters and you're top of mind
Totally.
with people all over the county.
Good exposure.
Oh yeah. Now, what is it like to balance your full-time job and your coffee roasting job and having a child?
It's tough. Yeah, for sure. If you're asking about like typical struggles, it's gonna be just, I would say the leading struggle in my mind that I've been working through is guilt. It's gonna be mom guilt. It's gonna be guilt that you're not fully present at Creekside Coffee. It's gonna be guilt that you're relying too much on your family members to watch your child, or relying too much, time wise on other people. I think that's been the biggest struggle. I think that it is in the long run a good thing, though, because I think in the long run, you are telling yourself that you're putting in your time in in my baby business in like a year and a half. We've already look at what we've already done, and it's only going to get better, and the time availability will only get better as well. And in the long run, it's going to be worth it. But yeah, I would say, the typical biggest guilt struggle for myself is guilt, and I'm working through it. And I honestly, even moms that aren't entrepreneurs, you're going to have mom guilt no matter what you do. So maybe it's just my advice, and what I'm learning myself is just lean into what you're doing in the moment, and just say, this is what I decided to do with my time right now, and I'm not going to worry about anything else.
Yeah, you said like getting family members and stuff to help watch kids. And my husband and I ask our mother-in-law a lot. And over the weekend, he was like, "Oh, like I can't take the kids with me to what I was doing." So I texted my mom and I was like, "Oh my God, we need to save our favors for when we really need them." As he's standing here right now, getting ready to leave.
Yeah, I understand it. You feel guilt, but then you talk to these family members and they're like, we would want to do nothing else. Like we are your people, we're your support system. And I could not do it without my in-laws and my parents.
Yeah, it takes a village.
Uh,
So when you guys are at events on the weekend and stuff, do you drop your daughter off with either your in-laws or your parents?
I do. Yeah. That's, luckily, I'm really fortunate to have in-laws that are not working full time anymore. My parents do, but they will make themselves available on the weekend. And that's what we do. And luckily, the way we've kind of figured it out is Andrew will take the big van. We can't put a car seat in the van, so he'll
Yeah,
take the big
all you have is the driver's seat and the passenger seat, right?
back, even though I'm sure she would love it. He'll take the van, he'll set up, I'll spend a little bit more time with my daughter, and then I'll drop her off wherever I need to drop her off, and I'll meet him there. And then we'll do our thing. I'll leave early, maybe like half an hour early, and he'll close up and I'll go pick up our daughter. So it's kind of, we're being as efficient as we can.
Yeah. Yeah, so does it normally take both of you to run an event out of the van?
It does. It does. Usually it does, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's fun too. I luckily we work well together. It's fun to have something different that's just for the two of us, and we're working together to, for one purpose. And it's for ourselves, which is pretty cool.
Have you found your rhythm working together in the van, or are you constantly bumping into each other?
Great. Both. Absolutely both. If we're really slammed, we will definitely get up close and personal, and I'm, nudging him to get to the sink and he's nudging me to get to the, espresso machine. Luckily we're married and we don't feel weird bumping into each other.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. Where do you guys see your business going in the next 5 years?
Good question. I really hope to step back in my OT world. I would love to continue being an OT. I love it. Luckily in the medical field, you can, kind of work when you want. You can pick up hours if you need to. So I think in 5 years, I hope to maybe take a bigger role in Creekside, in the back office and doing logistics and stuff like that. And I hope that we're big enough so that I can do that. I hope to, and I foresee definitely happening, us having an actual like brick and mortar cafe, which would be really cool. We currently have our roastery where Andrew roasts all the beans in the Landenberg store here in Landenberg. We have a trailer that does not move that's in Oxford, and then we have the van. So we have those 3 things for ourselves, which is really cool. And we're really looking forward to opening an actual cafe sooner rather than later.
That's a lot. That's super awesome that you have all that stuff right now. I didn't know that you had a trailer. Where is that in Oxford?
That is the locals call it Old Jim's Market. I think there was an Amish man that owned it. His name was Jim, and he had a farmer's market there. He's not there anymore. That's why it's Old Jim's Market. But it's near like the Hers factory. Just a little like farmer's market. So we have a trailer there that is permanent. It doesn't move at all.
So what is that like? Does Andrew go there in the morning and people are like getting coffee Monday through Friday?
That is exactly right. Andrew, at this point, because now we have 3 employees, which is exciting. But at this point, he's only there once a week, which is great. Like any entrepreneur would understand, he was there every single day when we first opened Creekside. And it's pretty cool to see the transition where he's there once a day, he's restocking, he's being the barista. But otherwise we have 3 employees that, have a set schedule. We couldn't do it without them at all. They're really great college students. They can, when it isn't as busy, they can like get their homework done and stuff. So yeah. So the trailer's open every day at this point. So we're extending hours and opening on Sundays now, which is pretty cool.
Now, I feel like you're already out of the first stage of like, you're not in a baby business because you have people working for you now. You've got your teenage business.
I guess it's true. A tween, maybe.
Yeah. Now you said that, well, I don't want to ask that question yet. Are you pretty busy with events on the weekend? Like how is it every weekend you're booked, or is it both days of a weekend?
Luckily, a lot of events are on Saturdays, usually Saturday mornings. There seems to be a big coffee like season. So it seems to be right now, which is great.
It's actually cold.
Summertime is good too. That people love iced coffee, which is awesome. But yeah, it seems to be seasonal, which is what we're learning. This is kind of like, again, you were asking whether we knew ahead of time or is it trial and error. We're learning now that we've been open for more than a year. We can kind of see trends. And this, the season is now. It's people want their warm drink while they go and shop for Christmas gifts or take their kids to go pick a pumpkin or something. So usually events are on Saturdays. Luckily, like we have Sundays and just like random Tuesdays as well to be with each other as a family. So we still get kind of like that weekend where we get 2 days together, which is nice.
Now you're in charge of social media. Where do you get all your ideas?
Other people, I guess. Just, constantly scrolling. Canva has been really helpful too. They just have a lot of templates that grab my attention.
Yeah. So I went to a class maybe like a year and a half ago, and the guy was just talking about like rip off and duplicate, like whatever you see and you like it, like
Do it.
just turn it into whatever your business is. Like, why do all the extra legwork? Which I guess is true. So yeah, I'm scrolling and saving stuff and
Exactly. And I think it's about good timing too, just knowing, when most people are on social media, and like Facebook will tell you this. When's the most optimal time to post? The Facebook will even just tell you like who's your typical demographic. Is it, women our age? And what if it's women my age, which it kind of is, that's our typical demographic. What do I think is funny? What do I like to look at? What music do I like?
yeah, I was gonna say, like, how did you use that information? But you're just curating it towards the demographic that you see on your social media.
Yeah. And who knows? I think maybe as we get bigger, I'm sure I will need to keep up in different ways. I'm sure that I'm gonna age out of what's new. And so I'm not afraid to maybe take a class like you did.
What does your typical day look like between your OT job, the Creekside coffee roasting, and having a daughter?
It's long. Yeah. We wake up. I am so fortunate to have found the best in-home daycare, um, you know, less than 10 minutes away, which is amazing. So luckily it's on my way to my OT job. So we get out the door somehow. I drop her
Somehow
off.
is true.
Yeah. Mornings are tough. Luckily I also when I'm at work, I am one-on-one with my clients. I am in front of a computer. If I really need to like create something on Instagram quickly, I have that freedom to do that in that moment. It takes 30 seconds. I do my thing, I go pick up my daughter, I come home, the rush of dinner, and luckily Andrew's usually home by like 6 after roasting coffee all day and meeting new people.
Smells like coffee.
She'll go to sleep and we'll talk about what did you learn today. If speaking to Andrew, what's on your mind about Creekside next. We'll maybe talk to each other about like the next social media post, and are you thinking about growing in this direction or in this direction? What are the opportunities available and what should we do? We're just kind of constantly figuring out what's next.
Yeah. Now it is just, I'm sure, exhausting having a full-time job, a side hustle job, and, having a child, because children drain you. Even though they're amazing, they drain you. How do you find time for yourself and what do you do to recharge?
I have been learning through this process. I appreciate the little moments during the day. And that's not to say that I love going out for drinks with my girlfriends, because I absolutely do. And I will try to make time for that. At the same time, you want to enjoy your life and you want to like it. You don't just want to be working towards something, because in entrepreneurship, and I've heard other moms say this on your podcast, when are you done? You aren't ever going to be. You're gonna, because this is what we like to do. We're looking towards the next thing always, and so there isn't an end in sight, and there might be stages, but if you don't like the little moments in your life now, when will you? And so I've learned, even if it's just walking to the mailbox, like it's quiet, I'm trying to be as present as possible. I'm looking at the trees, I'm feeling the breeze. I'm trying to just have a quiet moment for myself. Taking showers, little stuff like that.
It's so easy to just get caught up in the go, 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 rush, rush, rush. And it wasn't until like the last year where I was like, why am I rushing? I am
Yeah.
rushing literally every single day. But what am I rushing to? Like, I'm missing everything that's happening around me. So now I'm like, whatever. I will get to, I will get to it, but But I'm like, geez, I just said to my Andrew this morning, today is November 21st. How did we get here?
Right, exactly. And of course, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm like that a lot of the time too. I am working towards being more present, and even if it's just like having dinner outside, like trying to be outdoors more really makes me, enjoy my day more and realize, this is good. This is good right as it is.
That is totally the key. And I think that people have forgotten how important it is to be outside. I have, in these past few months, really just been like, let me rethink about this. And no, I'm going to go spend that time outside. Like, I can do this outside.
Yes, exactly. Dinner, drinks outside, get on the porch. Yep. I really like what you're doing with your full moon hikes. I saw that on Instagram. That is, I might steal it. That is the coolest thing. I love it. Bundle up. It's bright outside. Let's do it.
It is so much fun. I tell everyone right now, do it. And don't give the excuse of, oh my God, it's January, it's too cold. Yeah, like bundle up. Dakota, I've been doing it with her for almost 2 years now. So she was 3 when we started. Grant was 6 months. This past hike was the first hike he ever took not in the hiking backpack. And
Aw,
yeah, they just love it. And it was funny. The first time we ever did it, Dakota wanted to bring like a flashlight. And I said, you don't need a flashlight. Trust me.
yeah, yeah, super cool. I love the little family traditions. Again, circling back to just finding little moments during the day that make it all worth it.
Yeah. And normally I would have been like, so for me, I've really had to, as a mom, just kind of open up more to stuff because when Dakota was like 1 or 1.5, and if she would be out playing outside, I'm like, oh my God, you're getting so dirty. This is going to be such a mess. And now I'm just like, it doesn't matter. She's learning and she's exploring, and who cares if she gets dirty?
Yeah,
So it's,
it taught me, and it sounds like you, prioritizing like what is really important here. Is it her clean clothes, or is it, you know, making the time that we have worth it?
And that's with the full moon hikes. I was first like, well, oh my goodness, like some full moons aren't on the weekends and she has daycare the next day. Like that's just going to be a nightmare because she'll be miserable. And then I was like, who gives a shit? Whatever.
Miserable no matter what.
Like it's just one night, and the goal and the hope is that in the future people be like, yo, I'm coming to meet you, and it's just like all the kids running around hiking and we're just walking and talking and just tradition and memories.
Love it.
Yeah, so now that we got off on that tangent.
I'll take the blame.
So your daughter is 2, you said, right?
Yes.
um is she excited for Christmas? Does she know what's happening?
Yes, she does. We have a little Christmas tree that her mother-in-law gave her. We have her own little one in her room. She loves it. She's a little leery of Santa. He's always watching. He comes down the chimney. That's a little scary, but she's excited for presents. That's for sure. And this is the first year that that's happened. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Do you guys already have everything decorated? Or are you like a before Thanksgiving people or after?
The little Christmas tree for my daughter, that is it. That's all we got.
Yeah, yeah. I'm normally like a right after Thanksgiving, but gosh, it's so late this year. I'm like, oh, we only have 3 weeks.
Ew, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Well, as entrepreneur moms, we experience motherhood differently than 9 to 5 or stay-at-home moms, and you're kind of like mixed up in it all. So what do you think is the beauty of being an entrepreneur mom?
The beauty is learning about perseverance, um, being proud of what you're doing. And that's not to say people that work a 9 to 5 aren't proud of what they're doing. I think it feels a little different because done both, and I can kind of
Ownership. I think maybe the word, like, you have ownership of it.
exactly. You feel just like even that much more proud, even if it's just like a percentage, you know. um I'm excited to have a daughter that hopefully will be proud of what we've built one day and learn the hard work that is needed to do something like this, and to be proud of something that you build.
Does she ever want to come with you guys to the coffee stuff, like to the shop or on the weekends?
Definitely, especially if it's like a fun fall festival with all the blow up, you know, bouncy houses and stuff like that. You know, my mom or my mother-in-law will bring her and she'll bounce in the bouncy houses and come see us. She can spot that van a mile away and she knows that is mommy and daddy's coffee van. She will help us make coffee sometimes. Destroy the whole van, but she will help.
That is so cute. I love that. All right, we're gonna switch over to our rapid fire 5 and 5. What does your ideal chill day look like?
I thought about this. It's one of two things. I would love to either just be outside all day, go hiking, even if we're talking overnight, I would love to just sleep in a tent again. I haven't done that in years. You know, be one with nature. I would love to just do that, you know, either on my own or with Andrew or with some girlfriends too. That would be really cool. Or be a complete garbage human being and sit on the couch and do absolutely nothing and watch Real Housewives, Sister Wives, whatever trash TV I can find. Do nothing.
Those are some extreme opposites.
And now you know my personality.
So funny. What are you currently reading or listening to?
I really like podcasts. I really like Armchair Expert. That's super fun with Dax Shepard. What I'm reading now, when I get time and when I'm not falling asleep mid-sentence, I like Colleen Hoover books, you know, typical suspense thriller.
Yeah, I've read a bunch of her books.
Yeah,
I can't she has like some with the flowers on the cover, right? I
maybe.
think.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I've read like 4 or 5 of them. They all kind of blend
Yeah,
together.
they do. They do. But it's a nice palate cleanser if you know you need just like a nice easy read in between hard stuff.
Yeah, that's typically what I do. I love to read, but I'll be like, "Oh, I'm reading this informational thing. Oh, now I'm going to read like a trashy novel
Totally.
or
Yep.
like a thriller." Okay, back to informational.
Yeah, you need that.
From a business owner perspective, who is your role model?
At the risk of sounding really cheesy, I am going to say Andrew, my husband. I have learned a lot. He sets his mind to something and he does it. And I'll just tell a quick story about when he decided to do this. He had the wisdom to ask, you know, the people that we're surrounded by, like, what do you think of this? Am I a little crazy? And I will never forget my dad told him, I think the word that Andrew used was, you know, I'm worried that this isn't going to work and we're just going to like financially be ruined. And my dad, who, you know, raised me and, you know, is trusting his daughter's husband to, you know, be a good partner and stuff. He said, I'm not worried, which is really cool. It was really cool to hear that because he will make it happen, like whatever that may be. Because I think what he is good at is taking what is presented to him, and if he needs to pivot, he'll do that. And whatever is in store for Creekside, we're gonna make it happen. So yeah, so Andrew. I also have a really awesome best friend up in New Hampshire that started her own pediatric OT clinic, and she is, I mean, she should be on this podcast. She is just like a badass mother hustler. Being able to talk to someone that has started the business from the ground up is really helpful. So she's, you know, she's my entrepreneur best friend as well.
Yeah, it is nice to have people who, I mean, I've got my high school friends and my college friends, but now I also have like my mom boss friends because they can understand some of the stuff that I'm going through that the other groups of friends are
Yeah,
just like, I don't
yeah,
know.
supportive, but they just don't know.
Yeah. What's the song that you blast the shit out of if entrepreneur mom life is too much for you that day?
I have been really liking Chapel Roan lately. She's been super fun. She's loud. She's a great singer. It's like boppy, you know. She's been fun. I I don't know. I feel like we're around the same age. I am 33, and so throughout high school, I don't know if you went through this phase. I think a lot of people did. The emo, screamo music that like you will always remember. If I'm actually like need to get some anger out, that's when I'm blasting in my car.
Yeah, what is some of that? I forget. I
Like
was more
Sunday or like Grand,
yes.
if that sounds familiar to you.
Yes, but then I'm also thinking like Usher stuff when that comes on the radio. I'm like, "Oh my god, this reminds me of like homecoming in high school."
Middle school dance music, absolutely.
So funny. What's some advice that you can give a struggling entrepreneur mom?
I think my best advice would be just be open to what the world is telling you. I think that there's been many avenues that we could have gone, and just kind of sitting and listening to that little voice, or this kind of looking at the circumstances and comparing the logistics, what is the best option, and let's just go that direction. And even if it's not what you thought it was going to be, that's what we're going to do, and we're going to give this a try and see what happens. I don't think we would be where we are without just kind of trusting the process.
Yeah. Yep. Listening to your gut
Yeah,
and the universe. Sometimes after it happens, you're like, how did I miss that sign? Thank God I actually followed that path.
absolutely. And it's really cool to look back and go way to the beginning and realize, well, if that didn't happen, then that wouldn't have happened. Which is cool. It's cool to reflect and understand, like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank you for coming on today. I can't wait to see how Creekside Coffee Roasting continues to grow because that's so exciting. And if people wanted to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Social media. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Maybe one day I'll decide to go on TikTok, but we'll see. Creekside Roasting Coffee Company. We're on both.
Yeah, I dabbled in TikTok for a hot second and I was like, this is too draining. All right, everyone. And I'm going to leave you with a quote. What if your next move is the one that changes your life? Not taking the risk is the risk. And we will see you next episode.
Thank you for joining this episode of Badass Mother Hustler. If you loved this episode as much as we did, and it left you feeling inspired and empowered, give us a quick like and subscribe, and we'll invite you back to our next episode. And be sure to share us on your socials and visit our Instagram, Badass Mother Hustler Podcast. We'll see you next time.